Hello, 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 hello. Welcome everyone to Author's Excerpt Sunday. My name is Sharice Johnson Moore, and I am your hope builder, lifting you out of your sorrow by guiding you to see the Christ within through scripture and practical applications. And today, welcome to Author's Excerpt Sunday. Our special guest is Dr. Aura V. Robinson. Welcome, Dr. Aura Robinson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Sharice. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. I'm so glad that you are here and you are here to talk about your new book. It is about black nurses and the invisible black nurse. Am I correct?
Correct, correct.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. I understand that I will read a little of your bio and then we shall get started.
Okay.
Dr. Aura Robinson, Aura V. Robinson, is a registered nurse. Hold on, not tablet. Okay. Is a registered nurse, certified nurse educator, consultant, board certified coach, Mayo Clinic trained health and wellness coach, and researcher. She has worked at all levels of the educational system, including community college, private, post secondary college, and university settings. She was awarded the Young Publisher Award by the Association of Black Nursing Faculty for her research on minority nurse role conflict and racism within the nursing profession. She brings an array of academic and ex, ex, experiential knowledge of speaking and she brings an array of academic and experiential knowledge to speaking engagements and workshops. Her mission is to inspire, motivate, and educate. One nurse at a time to create a psychosocial, healthy work environment free of incivility and racial incivility specifically. She is an alumni of University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, where she earned a bachelor's of science in nursing and a master's degree in community mental health. She later earned a PhD in human services from Capella. Her services continued through her contribution on committees and professional organizations such as Sigma Theta Phi Honor Society, American Psychiatric Nursing Association, and the Association of Black Nursing Faculty. In addition, she is on the editorial board of Qualitative Report. She was awarded the Distinguished Visitor Award from Dayandia Sagar Institutes.
Mhm.
Okay, Bangalore, India. Dr. Robinson is a member of the Psi Eta chapter, Long Beach, California, Chi Eta Phi Sorority Incorporated, professional nursing organizations. Everyone help me welcome Dr. Aura V. Robinson. Welcome, Dr. Aura V. Robinson, and how are you doing this evening, dear?
Oh, I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking. I'm above ground, and that's my benchmark.
Amen, amen. Praise the Lord, right? Because
Glory.
God has an assignment that He wants us to fulfill, and He wants it in completion. before he calls us to be with him. So what got you? What inspired you to write this book about the invisible black nurse?
Okay, thank you for the question. My aspiration come from when I first started as a nurse. I
Hmm.
noticed when I went to professional conferences, we would always
Hmm.
look around and see how many people look like us. It would be
Yes,
one,
ma'am.
and when we would communicate, we had the same concerns, the same things
Yes.
that
Yes,
dealt
ma'am.
around how we're treated as Black nurses and
Yes,
lack of
ma'am.
support. I said, well, maybe it's an anomaly, just, one or two. But as
Yes,
I
ma'am.
progressed in my profession, I realized it was a recurring thing at different levels of the nursing spectrum. So they got me
Yes, ma'am.
interested in researching it as a scholarly activity. So I
Yes,
began
ma'am.
doing research on the minority nurse role conflict because what we
Hmm.
experience is people see us first as the Black woman or the Black
Yes.
CNA, LVN, but we're never the Black doctor or the Black registered nurse. So I
Yes. Yes,
decided to
ma'am.
actually do a qualitative research study on it to find out
Mhm.
what was nursing thinking, what was the Black
Yes.
nursing thinking at all areas of the education. And it came out that they felt invisible. I
Hmm.
spoke with people in their 80s,
Hmm.
20s, and the
Yes.
same recurring thing emerged. So that got me interested in order to bring it to the forefront for a discussion.
Oh, I I am also a certified nurse's assistant,
Mhm,
and that was my profession before I started doing all of this.
mhm,
And I found that nursing is not an easy job. Nursing is not an easy job. It is a job where you come into work happy, you make your patients feel happy about where they're at,
mhm.
and you bring you know what I've learned from nursing is you're supposed to make the patient have a understanding of that I want to bring you happiness while I'm in your presence.
Yes, yes.
And it's that's the part that I loved about nursing. That
Mhm,
I would go into my patients' homes, make them feel comfortable, do everything that they asked or required of me,
mhm.
and um and it was a thing of when I had to do my 2 weeks trial, 2 weeks right after I took the class, the class and stuff. And during those 2 weeks, I found that, how could I say this? Nursing, what I say, nursing is a field where you have to bring love to the table.
Mhm. Yes, you do.
You have to bring love and compassion and empathy to the table.
Mhm.
And if you don't bring those things, your patient isn't going to be comfortable either.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, and so in that aspect, I had a black instructor,
Mhm,
and I really respected her as a person because she made time to sit down with her students to teach them to really, sit down and make sure they had their skills.
uh-huh.
It's time to go take your exam. The skills we had to learn, and she made us really concentrate on our skills and knowing what we were supposed to know. And I I um I really took a liking to her as my instructor because that was my first I'll say experience
Mhm.
with black nurse, someone that had higher credentials than me. She was
Mm-hmm.
a licensed practical nurse, and I
Mm-hmm.
really, really, I mean, I really, really liked her. She was really, helping us in helping us to get an understanding that we had to know our skills because the white people were gonna be checking you,
Yes.
and yeah, and so in that sense, um, she made us work harder because
Mm-hmm.
she made sure we had to know them skills before we graduated class
Mm-hmm.
because she was the person. She played the patient,
Mm-hmm.
so she knew what was required of what we were supposed to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, what do you what do you tell nurses that were new nurses that were coming on into your floor or in your office? What would you tell them when you first met them?
First, I need to make them feel comfortable and let
Hmm.
them know the importance of their work, especially if they're a CNA. Let's talk about the CNA role. Sometimes that
Hmm.
role is put at the lower end of the hierarchy,
Yeah.
CNA, LVN, RN, but we work as
Hmm.
a team.
Yes.
So I want to at least orientate the new CNAs or even the LVNs that we are here working as a team.
Yes,
You have
ma'am.
skills that's going to help me because you're with that patient doing ADLs. And
Yeah.
I need to know
Hmm.
if there's a change in their skin. No matter how
Yeah.
slight, I need to know if there's a change in the temperature. So I need you.
Yes.
And then we move up to the LVN. They have their own
Yes.
scope of practice, excellent in
Hmm.
what they do, but
Yes,
still as
ma'am.
an RN, I'm an overseer.
Yes.
We work together. It's a team.
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Orr is not giving orders. Dr.
Yeah.
Orr is having a conversation, and this is
Yes.
some of the things we need to accomplish today. I would like you to do
Yeah.
this. How you organize it is on them. So I don't want to be a
Yeah.
micromanager when it comes to that. And everyone
Hmm.
has to feel valued. And that's what I
Yes.
stress. Even with nursing students, I make sure they understand
Yes, ma'am.
that, yes, you have a BSN,
Yes.
I have a PhD, but it
Yes.
doesn't mean anything when it comes to patient care, patient interaction, and just people interaction. That's very important to me that
Yes,
we
ma'am.
break down the hierarchy because we're all there for the patient, which
Yes,
means I
ma'am.
don't have time to worry with you in terms of
Hmm.
your own challenges you may
Yeah,
have.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I totally understand. It says, so where did you get the information from? Where did you get the information from for your book?
Okay, this book is actually probably 30 years in the making with
Hmm.
notes and starts and stops, just procrastinating and getting it out. So the
Yes, ma'am.
material came from several places. First, it came from just my experiential observation of people,
Yes,
anecdotal
ma'am.
data. And then it came from actual research where
Hmm.
I did a lit review on old history in terms of
Yes,
our
ma'am.
role as a nurse,
Hmm.
major issues. So then
Yes,
I
ma'am.
look at contemporary research about
Hmm.
our image. You don't see a lot of differences really. And then
Yes.
I noticed there's a gap. We never talked about racism, the term race, racism. It was
Hmm.
always a softer term, incivility,
Yes,
bullying.
ma'am.
But we were experiencing a uniqueness
Hmm.
in terms of that. So I did
Hmm.
extensive research, had focus groups. I followed a qualitative approach, and I had
Hmm.
focus groups with different women from all over the country, anonymous,
Yes.
and they're giving
Hmm.
their stories. And I thought
Yes, ma'am.
about this is really valuable. And then God
Yes.
put it on my heart to stay
Hmm.
focused and follow it through from my original research with minority nurse role conflict and then specifically racism in nursing.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
are aware of it. Now our organizations are acknowledging it.
Yes, ma'am.
Climate is right to talk about not just the racism in nursing, but
Hmm.
how do we navigate it? How do we start to have a discussion on it without sweeping it under nice terms? like
Yes,
surveillance
ma'am.
and bullying.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So during the course of writing this book, um, during the course of writing this book, what during the course of writing this book, what is the main factors in this book that you want your readers to take away from reading the book?
The main factor is empathy. So
Hmm.
when they finish reading this book, I want them to have insight on what it feels like to work as a Black nurse at any
Yes,
level.
ma'am.
And there's some
Hmm.
provocative statements of what nurses have said. And I want them
Yes.
to reflect on how they feel when they're
Hmm.
reading the excerpts or the
Yes,
discussion,
ma'am.
so they can leave being a change agent. If I had to put it all in a nutshell, I want you to read the book, feel empowered
Hmm.
that you as an
Yes,
individual
ma'am.
can make a change. One nurse, one interaction at a time with anyone you meet of a different diversity, be it the standard diversity, racism, LGBT, the whole gamut that
Yes, ma'am.
make a difference. One person, one interaction at a time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I wanted to ask you this question. Do you see a lot of women, older women, going back, like coming back to get their degrees in nursing? You see, like I'm 51.
Hmm.
And do you see like women my age or older coming back to, they want to go, they've returned to school to get their degrees? Do you see a lot of that?
Yes, I do. And
Mhm.
it's amazing because some have put that on hold while they raise their families.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then they
Yes,
come
ma'am.
back to school. And they have a challenge because things are different than when they went to school. We are in technology
Yes.
world now.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and they'd be very apprehensive and slow in getting back. And then I share
Yes.
with them my story that I went back
Hmm.
10 years after high school.
Okay.
So I was probably
Hmm.
28 when I went back, 32ish, 34ish by the time I finished. And I felt that was
Yes.
old, 30.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hmm.
And
Yes, ma'am.
so just by sharing that with them gives them hope. So I'm very empathetic in how to help them navigate or give them resources to navigate the technological part of it. And
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
very studious students because, like me, when I went back, zip it,
Hmm.
get the
Yeah.
information, do what I need to do instead of having a debate all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes, all ages, 60 years old,
Okay. Okay.
that's their goal. And I remember being on the bus stop one time, maybe 30 years ago, and it was an
Yes,
old
ma'am.
student going back to nursing. And I'm thinking,
Yes, ma'am.
why would anybody put themselves through this at that age? Because it's not easy. It's not easy to get
Yes, ma'am.
through, and then when you're working, and
Yes,
that
ma'am.
was lack of maturity. But then you realize when you start speaking with them, that was a long time passion. It was put on hold. Somebody
Yeah.
got sick. They had to be a care provider. So we
Uh,
have a diversity, and it's awesome to welcome everybody in because I want to impart my knowledge that I have, experiential knowledge,
yes,
academic,
ma'am.
to the next generation. I'm not
Yes,
keeping it
ma'am.
all in my head. It needs to come out so we can have
Yes.
a workforce that's caring,
Yes, ma'am.
compassionate, and know how to be a change agent to just have the discussion on our thoughts about racism and nursing, our feelings, because if you can't talk
Mhm.
about it, it's never
Yeah.
talked about. So I
Uh,
wanted people to actually hear words from the people that I spoke
yes,
with.
ma'am.
I didn't want it to be about me, my experience. I said, am I the only
Mm.
one experiencing this? No.
Yes.
And then I start reaching out and just hearing and
Yeah.
listening and
A
reading.
collaborate.
Hmm.
Yeah. Collaborating.
Yeah.
Collaboration.
Hmm.
Is Oh, okay. So I want to I would love for you to read an excerpt out of your book. Is
Okay.
that possible?
That's possible. And I want to share with the audience when you asked me to find an expert, I went looking, right?
Mhm.
And And then I said, well, where do I start? It's so many, there's so many nuggets, but I decided I broke it down to two.
Yes, ma'am.
Hopefully, this will be of benefit. This is a situation I experienced. My sexual
Yes, ma'am.
orientation has been questioned based on my choice of clothes and how I wear my hair, or lack
Yes,
of it.
ma'am. Uh-huh.
Let me share another visual of nursing while black. I recall a time while at a clinical facility, I saw the
Mm-hmm.
director coming in my direction.
Uh-huh.
Her face was in the wrestling bitch mold, as the young people
Mhm.
call it. I
Yes,
could hear
ma'am.
the pitter patter of her high heels walking fast toward me. The director did
Yes.
a hard stop and blurted out, the residents may not want you to care for them as they may think you're gay. I said, wow, blurted out like that in front of the students.
Oh.
I thought to myself, is that how I look? Because my hair
Uh-huh.
is shaved, that they may
Yes.
think I'm gay?
Uh-huh.
How do you respond to that? So I said, okay, I hear you. And she still wouldn't move.
Uh-huh.
I said, I hear you. That won't be a problem. She still
Yes,
wouldn't
ma'am.
move. And I'm thinking, okay, let me shut her down.
Uh-huh.
It would be no problem because I have a drawer full of wigs at home that I can put on when I come to clinical. And the students wanted to help me and asked me how could I deal with that. I say we're nurses,
Yeah.
trying to adapt, and I'm not fighting that battle right now.
I know that's right. Some battles we don't have to some things we don't have to respond to everything that is thrown at us as nurses.
Mm-hmm.
And I had during my class, I was taking the class, and my instructor decided to call me out in front of the other students.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you know, your attitude is kind of your attitude, you got to fix your attitude. And I was sitting there like, okay, what attitude is she talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. I said, yes. I just said, yes, ma'am, and just kept it moving because sometimes I think um, us as black nurses, sometimes we may think that's offensive if
Mm-hmm.
it's coming from another black nurse that's higher than you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was and I was like, okay. Then I had to rethink about. I thought about my response and said, yes, ma'am. Okay, I will fix that. And then I went home and thought about it. And what my conclusion was, uh, she wants me to be, um, how can I say this? She wants me to show the most excellence in my position.
Mm-hmm.
And that was her saying, okay, maybe you might have done something or you might have said something or whatever. And I was like, well, I'll just make sure that my posture is good, my face has a smile on it, and and say yes ma'am, no ma'am, and leave it at that. Because sometimes it's not, how could I say it? Sometimes it's not the nurse, it's the patient.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to hold our heads up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she was. I took it as you have to hold your head up even when they might pluck your nerves,
Mm-hmm.
you know? and and so I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, I'll work on that. I'll work on my attitude if I showed one. And I kept it kind of moving after that, So, anything else you want to read to us?
Yes,
Ex or no?
this was profound. This was the intersection of racism, mental health, and feeling invisible. One lady said, "There's nobody that looks like you." Another
Mhm.
nurse mentioned, "All they have to do is spread a lie about you, and your progression up the career ladder is hindered because of lies." And this last one was very profound. I had all of the patients who were obese. I looked up and asked her why she assigned me all the high acuity patients.
Mm-hmm.
I heard her response. My mouth dropped to the floor. Her voice
Mm-hmm.
said, "Because you are obese. And I thought you would be more empathetic towards them." Wow. No crap. I have struggled with weight all of my life. To hear the
Mm-hmm.
charge nurse, my colleague, call out my obesity was disheartening. I wanted to
Yes.
crawl under the table. I wanted to punch her, and I wanted to get up and leave. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was profound that people need to know. She thought about punching her.
Yeah.
And there's other excerpts that talked about maybe wanting to punch.
Yeah.
And it's very important that I bring that out because we do hold a lot in and we make sure we're okay. But there's
Mm-hmm.
somebody that might not be okay,
Yeah.
you know, Bella.
Mm-hmm.
I have a flat affect if I'm not smiling. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not smiling or if I'm serious and if I'm focused, I look like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That could
Yes.
be perceived as intimidating. It could be perceived as an attitude. So I'm familiar with that. So I
Yes,
did
ma'am.
learn how to soften my face, how to
Mm-hmm.
carry a smile,
Yes.
make one comfortable. And actually, it's
Mm-hmm.
not bad. I had to learn how to do it because,
Yeah.
being a psych nurse, I'm firm and
Yeah.
so that
Yes, ma'am.
but yeah, it's very important that we be aware of our own posturing and how
Mm-hmm.
we may perceived, how we may be
Mm-hmm.
perceived. And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
worked on that, but I'm not going to make anyone else comfortable. At some point, you have to understand why you're not comfortable and deal
Yes.
with that. Because I can only smile so much.
I know, right? I know, right? So, in your research, did you find that a lot of nurses decided to leave because of the mental aspects of their job?
It's more than one variable, but usually the hitting point is a physical or a mental aspect of it because at some
Mhm.
point we have to take care of our health.
Yes.
So as we get older, some of the older nurses that that may be experiencing some type of bully behavior. It doesn't necessarily have to be black, but we
Yeah.
experience it at a higher level. And even white
Yeah.
nurses are experiencing reverse racism, which I wanted to bring it to the forefront. And then
Hmm.
in class, we experience racism based on our shades of color. So let's put that out there in terms
Okay.
of change. So there's a lot of reasons in terms of leaving the workforce, usually for their own mental health and physical health.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a lot of discussion on psychological effects of racism, uh,
Yes.
from hypertension to
Yeah.
diabetes,
Hmm.
and then some mental challenges and things of that nature.
Yes.
But for the
Yes,
most
ma'am.
part, all the women were healthy and they used positive coping mechanisms rather than non-positive.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, at this present moment, do you teach a course on a course?
Yes, I do. Right now, I'm teaching several of. I teach primarily fundamental nurses in the
Yes,
skilled
ma'am.
laboratory, and that's pretty
Mhm.
neat because you usually have a caseload of 10, and you really get to be intimate with them and help them
Yes, ma'am.
understand the dynamics between lecture and skills and clinical and what it's like to be a profession. So that's pretty
Yes.
neat. But I've taught at all levels, and each level has its uniqueness. But I really like inspiring others. I inspire, motivate, and educate. That's my personal mission statement. Anyone I
Yes, ma'am.
meet, how can I inspire them, motivate
Hmm.
them to go ahead and do what they want to do? And if I need
Hmm.
to give them education, which means providing resources, or if I can coach them, things of that
Yes.
nature with that. So that's my passion to make it better for the next nursing student or nurse in our
Hmm.
profession. And I just
Yes, ma'am.
believe until we care for each other as a profession,
Hmm. Okay.
how
Yes,
can
ma'am.
we care for others? And
Yeah.
imagine,
At least.
can you imagine if we learned how to communicate with each other with our diversity?
Yeah.
We could go out to the communities
Yes.
and share and show.
Yes.
But right
Yes,
now
ma'am.
we have work to do, but I hope my book would make an impact and start the discussion rather than keep sweeping it under the rug with soft terms.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I completely understand because sometimes in that aspect of being in that, regardless if you're a CNA, LPN, REN, or a primary care physician,
Mhm.
um, that is where you have to, uh, how could I say it? You have to mold your mind to not get set on a negative, like a negative comment,
Mhm.
or a negative, like sexual harassment. Okay,
Mhm.
like sexual harassment. We deal with those things where a doctor comes and makes a comment about, oh, about part of our bodies, and how we're supposed to deal with that, mentally. And the thing is, it's a lot of things that we deal with in
Mhm.
that aspect of being a nurse, no matter what
Mhm.
their role is. It's like, okay, I have to mentally prepare myself
Mhm.
to to do what needs to be done, and the patient should come first.
Mhm.
But sometimes we get those cases where the mental abuse from other doctors or other nurses that are not of our color, we get that, and it's kind of like, we in the same profession, so why you acting like that, and sometimes we have to prepare ourselves mentally. Dr. Aura, where can we find your book?
Hmm. That's interesting. Right now, the humorous side, I mean, you can find it on my kitchen table. So right
Okay.
now, I don't have an online presence in terms of a payment portal yet. That's in progress.
Yes, ma'am.
But you can order it through I'm brain dead. Cash App and Zelle.
Okay. Oh,
And
okay. Okay.
my number is 951
Mm-hmm.
314
Mm-hmm.
4827. Include
Yes,
your
ma'am.
address,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I can send you the book and a thank you. And
Yes.
I ship out every Tuesday and Thursday. As I say, I'm getting ready to do a launch, so to be online, I will be putting it in audio. People was
Yes,
asking me
ma'am.
about the audio book. And the book
Mm.
is being well received from even some of my white colleagues that I've gifted it to. And they were
Okay.
very
Okay.
appreciative. I found this interesting. They were very appreciative that I included them in terms of
Yes.
experience reverse racism.
Yes,
Because if we
ma'am.
can fix one group
Yes, ma'am.
and then we can filter it out to the others. Because the old saying, if we don't help the next person experiencing something, they're going to come after me next. And if I don't help nobody, who's going to be there to help me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, Miss Aura, it has been an honor and a privilege to have you on Arthur's Excerpt Sunday. And this is your first book. Am I correct?
This is my first book. This is my baby. I've been hiding it, and God told me to get it out to the world
Yes,
because
ma'am.
it's going to help somebody who might help 5,000 or millions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, everyone, you have heard it here that her book can be purchased through her. You can reach her through her email at nurseaura@outlook.com. You can reach out to her Instagram at nurseaura, or you can reach her through Facebook backslash Nurse Aura, and you can purchase the book that way, and she will respond accordingly. And we wish you much success in your book and all that you do for us.
Okay.
Nurses and nurses are need to be valued,
Hmm.
because if it wasn't for the nurse, the doctor couldn't do his job.
Right,
Okay,
right.
the doctor couldn't do his job, and we thank you. And I am so happy for you to continue on your journey, and let me know if there's a way I can watch the launch. Is it going to be virtual
It'll be,
or?
it'll be virtual, so I will get you that information. And for your audience, I would love to get your feedback on how the interview went for you. If you have any questions,
Yes, ma'am.
because again, God say get out there and He'll pave the way. So I would love to get your
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If you need any assistance, you let me know, and I will be here for you. All right,
Okay. Thank you
Dr.
so much
Oral.
for
Oh,
having
you're
me.
welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everyone. That is, we've had a time here. We have had a time, and I want to thank Dr. Orr for coming and being on Authors Excerpt Sunday. And we will see you next Sunday for Authors Excerpt Sunday, and get her book today. It is entitled The Invisible Black Nurse, and we need to get it, reach our younger people, and get them to understand that we need to support each other as nurses, no matter what your field is. As you know, as Black nurses, we need to support each other. Thank you, Dr. Oral.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
I will see you later, okay?
Okay. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye. Bye, baby. See you later. It has been an honor and a privilege to have Dr. Orr with us today. And I want to say thank you so much for her showing up. And we'll see you next week on Authors Excerpt Sunday. Thank you so much for coming in. We thank you with everything that you do and support this broadcast. Thank you so much.